show. But for the second time, COVID-19 has forced the mega pop culture convention to stage a virtual show rather than an in-person one. Between ComicCon and its sister convention, WonderCon, the nonprofit organization will now have produced 4 online shows, so it's getting easier. Well, sort of.
Well, I think it's a lot less stressful, which should not be confused with not stressful.
That's ComicCon spokesperson David Glanzer.
Last year, I think we were probably, in terms of fan-related events, we're probably one of the first that really mounted something like this. And now that the pandemic seems to be lessening, we may very well be one of the last, so we kind of bookend it.
This year's ComicCon at Home is only 3 days, but there will be a virtual dealer's room as well as a full slate of panels for attendees to choose from, and it's all free. You can find panels on Afrofuturism, queer horror, neurotic superheroes, and API and AAPI creators. As someone who's been attending Comic-Con for decades, I was thrilled to be able to watch 70 hours of programming last year.
Hello and welcome to Art and the Holocaust.
The women behind Mythic Quest, Raven's Banquet.
Zombies and coronavirus planning for the next big outbreak.
That feat could never be duplicated in person, where you have to allow for hours of waiting in line, or at the very least, travel time between panels. Virtual programming means you can watch panels back-to-back all day from your couch, and if one panel doesn't deliver what you want, then you can immediately jump into another without missing a beat. Plus, you no longer have to make agonizing decisions when faced with overlapping programming.
One of the great things about being virtual was during a real show, you have to decide sometimes, what do I want to see? The great thing about being virtual is that you just have to decide what you want to see first. So the plan is, again, to have times when the panels drop, but those panels should remain online for, a period of time.
The Eisner Awards, often referred to as the Oscars of the comics industry, will also be virtual again this year.
And I want to welcome you to the Will Eisner Comic Industry Awards Show.
The good news about the virtual show is it's only an hour, and having it online as video means you can pause it and take notes about nominees and create a perfect summer reading list.
And the nominees are?
But there's nothing that can replace the in-person gathering where you enjoy an annual reunion with geeky friends and the joyous discovery of walking through the exhibit hall and finding a new artist or comic. In order to satisfy that need for face-to-face fandom, ComicCon is creating a special edition event in November.
It'll be over Thanksgiving weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We do know we'll be at the convention center. We do know that we'll have programming and exhibit floor space. So it'll be a smaller show, a more intimate show.
And that's something you can geek out about. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
The average price for a home in our region is now $750,000, according to the real estate tracking firm CoreLogic. It's even more for desirable locations like Coronado, one of many California cities tasked by the state to produce more affordable housing. KPBS reporter Andrew Bowen tells us how Coronado's leaders are dragging their feet.
Bye. Nos vemos en la tarde. Te portas bien.
Evangelina Preciado kisses her 10-year-old son Ricardo goodbye as she leaves for work. Preciado lives with her husband and 3 kids in a small mobile home in Chula Vista. She works as a room attendant at the Hotel del Coronado. She says she'd love to live in the community where she works. That would let her ditch her commute across the bridge and bike or walk to her job.
I love this place. This is beautiful, it's quiet, clean. We have the beach. So everything is awesome here.
Add to those perks Coronado's low crime rate and good schools and parks. But on a hotel worker's salary, there's no way Preciado could afford to live in Coronado, where finding a 2-bedroom home for less than $3,000 a month is a steal. As soon as she's off work,
I just feel that I have to leave and come back to my home. But this is like my second home because I pass more hours in the island than my home, but I cannot live in here. I just come and work and I have to go back.
Preciado's circumstance is hardly unique. Coronado is one of many high-end tourist destinations in California where low-wage workers staff pricey hotels, shops, and restaurants, but can't afford to live where they work. State lawmakers have tried to fix this by requiring cities to zone for dramatically more housing than ever before. Last year, the state ordered Coronado to plan for 912 new homes over the next 8 years. More than half those homes are meant to be affordable for low-income households.
That we are essentially trying to comply with an absurd and not sensible state law.
The order from Sacramento to add more housing was not well received in Coronado. Mayor Richard Bailey and the city council last month voted to draft a smaller housing plan. On Tuesday, the council unanimously approved a plan with about a third of the homes that are required. Bailey said at last month's council meeting, the number the city picked is realistic.
It's not based on a pie-in-the-sky number from the state, which had no basis in reality whatsoever, did not take into account our existing land use size, not take into account available space, our existing infrastructure, our sewage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This number does that.
Coronado sued to get a smaller housing allocation, but lost. It's currently appealing that decision. In the meantime, Coronado thumbing its nose at state housing law carries risks. The state can sue the city into compliance. But one council member last month admitted the city is just trying to run out the clock.
With our active lawsuit and with other things going on in their process, we would probably have a few years before they might get serious about that.
And so what happens in San Diego is going to be a little bit of a foreshadowing of what happens throughout the state.
John Wizard is with the San Francisco-based nonprofit YIMBY Law, which sues cities to enforce state housing laws. He says small, wealthy cities across California are preparing similar fights to get out of their housing obligations. But San Diego County is the first region to go through that planning process. That means Coronado could be a test case for how aggressively the state cracks down on scofflaw cities. For Wizard, it's not just a question of following the law, it's a question of fairness and equity.
And when Coronado says, we don't have to do what the state told us, we don't have to do our fair share, we don't have to pull our weight, but everybody else does, what Coronado is saying is that we're special and that we don't believe that you deserve to live here.
Evangelina Preciado, the hotel worker who can't afford to live in Coronado, has a similar message for the city's leaders.
I will say to them that everybody deserves a very nice home because we are working hard and our families deserve a very good place to live too.
Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The other side of the housing story involves those who are unsheltered. It's not just a problem in downtown San Diego. We have two stories from KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne on the work being done to help people in Oceanside.
From the outside, this trailer looks like a plain old camper. But this trailer has been gutted and transformed. It gives people in need access to washers and dryers free of charge.
We create a mobile laundry program for washers, for dryers, bring it into the communities all day and have people just have the ability to just feel like have that privilege of having free laundry. Yeah.
Oscarino Ortega is the organizer of Lived Experiences, a nonprofit organization providing services to low-income families in North County. He saw a need for access to laundry service.
And a lot of us don't have the ability or the privilege to have a washer and dryer at home. We have to go to a laundromat.
Ortega had the idea to bring laundry services to the communities he helps, but the project was easier said than done.
So the conversation started 6 months ago, and where do we start? Again, nobody's ever built one. So we originally thought I could just buy a trailer and buy washers and hook them up. It's not that easy.
Water and power hookups are needed for wherever the trailer goes. So Ortega has partnered with community organizations to bring the laundry trailer to people in need.
We're just really excited. So almost everything we do is based off of the conversations we have with people that come here who may be experiencing homelessness. So one of our guests here said, hey, you know what would really make this space better is if we had laundry.
Jordan Verdin, the owner of Humanity Showers, holds weekly service events for people in need. Showers, food, clothes, resources, and now laundry are being offered every Wednesday in Oceanside. Sergio Burguet and his family are regulars at the shower events. He got to use the laundry last week.
This is help for the entire family and for the people that come here, sometimes with scarce resources, but that's what's important to the community. This is an extra resource that no one was expecting. It's excellent. We all need a little help sometimes.
Dallas Stelmach is currently living on the streets and got to wash his clothes in the trailer.
You know, this is probably the most convenient thing that I've been able to encounter in a long time. I'm really happy to be a part of it.
The mobile laundry trailer will be taken to Oceanside and Carlsbad every week in collaboration with mobile shower events. But Ortega has plans to do more.
We want to build more. The dream is to take this to the communities, leave it there for a whole day and have people take advantage of it. Take it to Maricosta College, Palomar College, and have students who are suffering or are insecure money-wise or shelter-wise, and have them take advantage of this system, of these services. So that's the whole goal. Not only homeless, but also low-income families and just anybody in general.
Tanya Thorne, KPBS News. A school that once served at-risk students will soon serve Oceanside's homeless. Ocean Shores High School, located on Oceanside Boulevard in El Camino Real, will turn into the city's first year-round homeless shelter.
Didn't think we would get it, and in the end, they selected us to be their service provider, and I can't tell you how excited we are.
Donnie D. is the president of the San Diego Rescue Mission.
It's different for us because we own our properties, we own our assets, but what I love about this is it's an opportunity for the public and the private to work together on behalf of people who are living on the streets.
The Rescue Mission, which will operate the Oceanside shelter, currently operates a 360-bed shelter in downtown San Diego. While the San Diego location will serve as a model for the Oceanside shelter, there are some differences.
That property in Oceanside is going to be a drop-off facility. We'll work very closely with the HOT team in Oceanside, with their police department. We'll work very closely with other agencies, and they will refer people experiencing homelessness that need a place to stay to the San Diego Rescue Mission Ocean Shores campus.
The Oceanside shelter will be open to men, women, and families. Leanna Quirk and her husband have been homeless for over 4 years and are now staying in a donated RV. They know all too well the need for shelters for families.
There's nothing for families. That's the hardest part. Me and my husband are married 20 years. And even when we went to the hotel program, they said that they tried to offer us housing, in which no, they didn't. They kind of told us, well, would you guys be willing to separate and get rid of your dogs? And one of our things is that we'll do anything you ask us to do. You know, I have no problem doing that, but we don't want to be separated, and I can't get rid of my dogs.
Quirk's dogs became her support when she lost her children to foster care and when she started getting seizures. Quirk thinks the Rescue Mission's shelter will be great news to the homeless in the area.
I know a lot of people that want help, you know, and unfortunately they don't know how to get it.
The shelter will offer 50 beds with overnight and day use for 30 days.
And they'll have 30 days to stay there, and it'll be through that relationship that we'll figure out, do you need to go downtown and be a part of the long-term program? Do you need to go to detox? Do you need a skilled nursing facility? We'll do triage at these facilities and figure out what's their path forward.
The Rescue Mission's plans first start with a remodel of the existing facility.
It's got a bunch of individual rooms that were classrooms, and we will break up those rooms around gender and around family orientations.
But does the plan account for sexual orientation? Some people are raising the question. Max Disposti is the executive director of the North County LGBTQ Resource Center. He says a large part of the homeless population identifies as LGBTQ, and the lack of inclusiveness pushes them away from shelters.
You know, there is a reason why our population, queer population, prefers to sleep under the bridge, literally. You know, we're using public land and resources. They're supposed to guarantee that protection.
Disposti says he's concerned the Rescue Mission's plan excludes the LGBTQ homeless.
It means, okay, what is your track record? What do you do when a trans person comes in? How do you protect them?
Disposti says community relationships are very important when it comes to referring people to agencies for help.
In order for us to do a referral to another service provider that can have services that we don't have, like housing and so forth, we ask a lot of questions. Says, okay, is your staff trained? If he's trained, who did the training?
Donnie D said the San Diego Rescue Mission has never denied access to services based on religious belief or sexual identity. He says he welcomes community partners to the Oceanside facility.
We're so committed to that approach that we'll actually have office space in our facility at Ocean Shores for other agencies, because we want that kind of relationship. This just isn't our thing. It's not just the San Diego Rescue Mission thing. It's the community of Oceanside project, and we want to serve that city well.
If approved, remodeling of the facility will start later this year, and the shelter is expected to be up and running by next year. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Another hot and dry weekend means people living in fire zones are mindful of the risks. Melissa May tells us about a program that is helping people protect their homes.
The Defensible Space Assistance Program helps low-income seniors and physically disabled persons follow defensible space rules.
A lot of these people, again, have been in their homes for years. They have maybe lost a spouse. They need help.
Cheryl Landrum is the vice president of the Fire Safe Council of San Diego County. That group works with the Resource Conservation District of Greater San Diego County to offer the program. Landrum says funding is currently provided by a grant, so the work is done for free for the resident.
California is really focused on wildfire prevention, and there are a lot of funds coming down from the governor's office right now to do this type of work. San Diego River Conservancy was one of the agencies that were funded to help protect the San Diego area from wildfire.
Landrum knows how important this program is to the community.
Neighborhoods that do their defensible space have a much, much better chance of surviving a wildfire than those that don't.
The services that this program provides would normally cost a property owner thousands of dollars.
A lot of people are elderly that we serve, and they can't get out and weed whack 4 acres, or remove dead trees. And being so expensive, they're on a limited budget, so it's an extreme help to them.
Dustin Pope, president of Pope Tree Service, describes what his team clears out of a property after a site has been approved for the program.
Dead brush, dead trees, limbs that are hanging low to the ground. We're clearing up the limbs about 6 to 8 feet, and then we're also weed whacking to create that void between the tree and the ground.
When the services are complete, the chipping can be used as a weed-suppressing mulch. Pope describes how you can prepare your home with defensible space.
Pretty simple, house in the middle, take 100 feet, in a circle around your house as much as you can, and eliminate all the dead brush, raise up your trees, keep your driveways clear in case the fire truck needs to come in.
The easiest way to protect your home is maintenance.
Keeping the brush and the weeds down, weed whacked as much as you can is the biggest form of fire savings right there.
There is also a no-cost chipping program for any resident who clears their own defensible space. After piles are made, contractors will come out and chip the cleared vegetation for free. Melissa May, KPBS News.
One thing the past year brought us is a renewed focus on our health. Couples planning a family have a lot to think about, including a rise in high-risk pregnancies. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman has an inside look at how one hospital system is providing support.
We definitely, within the first week of us dating, we definitely had the kid conversation, and we both really wanted kids.
Megan and Ricky Miller from San Marcos had been married for 2 years when they decided it was time to try for a baby.
And then within a month, we got pregnant. So it was pretty quick. We were like, maybe it'll take 5-6 months, but it happened very quickly.
Everything was going great, but at around 19 weeks when they went in to see the baby's gender, something was wrong.
Her head was on track, but her limbs were a little bit smaller than they should be. So that kind of got the concern going of maybe that's more in line with a genetic disorder.
Definitely was scary because it was the same day we found out her gender. So it was, we didn't know. It was a huge happy day. We were stoked, and we zoomed. We did the whole gender reveal via Zoom with both of our families, and then literally half an hour later. They called and said something's off.
Having a genetic disorder is not the worst thing, but there's a lot of complications that can happen in pregnancy, like stillbirth and things like that. So that was really more my fear, was if the baby was going to make it or not.
Complications during pregnancy are scary, and while 80% of women have healthy pregnancies, a Blue Cross Blue Shield study from last year found rates of complications are rising, due in part to more mothers with pre-existing conditions.
One of the ways to tackle our increasing number of premature births, right? Well, it's been steady, but we haven't been able to really put a dent in it for years and years, right? Is to make sure, again, mom is taken care of, right? We reduce some of those comorbidities.
Dr. Sean Donishman is the medical director for Scripps Health's perinatalology program, which was started in 2018 and has been expanding.
complications are on the rise. We've got more women who are, gaining more weight pre-pregnancy. Diabetes is on the rise. Hypertension is on the rise. Something we forget, depression, anxiety is on the rise. And so therefore, in order to address all these issues, Scripps decided to bring on a team.
Donishman says the best way to address underlying conditions is to talk to a specialist before getting pregnant because it could save the mother or the baby's life.
We talk to the patient, we educate them, we refer them to our Scripps Whittier colleagues for our diabetes and pregnancy program to undergo nutritional counseling, dietary counseling, learn if they need to be on medication, how to take the medication.
He says one of the hardest conversations is telling a mother with pre-existing conditions that she maybe should not try to get pregnant right away.
Women will do anything for the children. Anything for their children, right? And if a woman wants a child, it's very difficult. Let's say she has had a recent stroke, for example. Right? A year later, she wants to have a child, or she's had a recent heart attack, or she has cancer, and or again, some comorbidities that just are not conducive to a healthy pregnancy. And it's very difficult for women to hear that they shouldn't have children.
For Megan and Ricky Miller, news that their baby might have a genetic disorder and had a large hole in the heart caught them off guard, especially because Megan had no known pre-existing conditions.
We just decided early on that we're not going to let this steal our joy. Because you can just have fear and be worried the entire time, or you can say, no, I'm not going to have fear. I'm going to be joyful and believe that this is going to turn out well, and we're doing everything we can.
The couple were told they might have to have their baby delivered at 25 weeks old, which would have required months of intensive care. But even after a small scare, where Megan had to spend nearly a week in the hospital, Galilee Ryan was delivered at 36 weeks old, weighing in at just 3 pounds 2 ounces, and the large hole in her heart went away.
That's healed. Yep, and they saw some narrowing of the aortic arch. That's not there. So yeah, it's just really a miracle baby.
The Millers now spend most of their time at Scripps La Jolla's neonatal intensive care unit, where Galilee is expected to be for at least a couple more weeks.
Pretty much 10, 12 hours a day we spend there. So she's eating about 50% by bottle right now. And then the rest they're putting through an NG tube. So that's increasing every day. She's eating more and more and having more strength every day. She's starting to cry and fuss.
Megan says overall, while stressful, she's grateful for the care of the specialists who help her deliver her baby. Results from testing just found Galilee has no genetic disorder, and there are plans for more kids soon.
But yeah, we want lots.
When you say lots, what's like?
I don't know.
Well, the day after she was born, Megan goes, let's do another one. Let's do it.
I want to be pregnant again. She needs a sister or brother. I don't know, 5, 7, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Health officials suggest, especially for women with pre-existing conditions, to reach out to their doctors before getting pregnant to see if something can be done to limit the chance of complications during or after pregnancy. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Finally, the pain of losing a child and one couple's plan to make sure their son is remembered. John Carroll tells us how, in addition to Mission Trails Park, might help other families avoid a similar loss.
Nearly 6 months after 21-year-old Max Lanai lost his life trying to cross the San Diego River in Mission Trails Regional Park, major news delivered by San Diego Council member Raul Campillo.
That Senate President Pro Tem Atkins was able to secure $1.5 million in this year's state budget to go to the Mission Trails Regional Park Foundation to help fund the bridge for Max.
This place of such breathtaking natural beauty became a place of heartbreak back in January. A strong winter storm moved in with heavy rain and hail. The San Diego River was surging. No one is sure, but his family believes Max slipped and fell. His body was found near the crossing.
We loved him, we miss him, and we will remember him.
Max's mother, Lori Yoler, and father, Ben Lanai, began their quest to build a bridge shortly after Max died. This was the first time they've been back here since shortly after their son's death. Today's $1.5 million grant will be combined with the $750,000 they've already raised to build a bridge that will look something like this. Councilmember Joe LaCava called it beautiful and functional. You could also add life-saving. A parent's grief over losing a child is something that's hard to imagine for most of us. Lori Yoler says some days she doesn't even want to get out of bed, but then she says she hears Max's voice, and his message is clear.
I heard Max's voice saying, you got to keep righting wrongs, and this is a wrong. Someone else could get hurt. So go do something about it.
We want to really mark that site and have something that is a very long-term testament to his life.
Ben Lanai says construction should start soon on the bridge for Max. There are environmental hurdles to cross, but the goal is to have it finished by March 26th of 2024, what would have been Max's 25th birthday. John Carroll, KPBS News.
We hope you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thank you for joining us.